Hey, good evening, everybody. Nancy and Clark Peterson, 115 pounds less
Yes,
for 5 years.
5 years.
So what this tells you is it can happen.
Yes, it can.
It can happen. It's very doable. You just have to, we're going to talk about it tonight. You have to change your mindset. That's a huge part. So before we started to record, we were talking to Sue a little bit about the amino acids that were released. They're the essential amino acids. So there are seven of them, I think, or 10 of them in the
10.
anyway. And what's so important about those? Well, at age 30 and on, you start to lose muscle. And what we want to do with this program, remember, it's all about health, not just about what the number is on the scale, even though we get caught up with that, right? Um, so what we want is we want best health, optimal health. And how you do that is you start to incorporate exercise. But sometimes if you're not an exerciser, you really feel it, right? So the amino acids, what they do is it really repairs your muscle if you push yourself a little bit, right? And it keeps you from feeling the soreness. So we just wanted to share real quickly that we had a big work day at church on Saturday. Now, I suppose if we were 30 years younger, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal, but
Or not.
we're not.
Yes.
And so we worked hard alongside everybody else, and we had taken our aminos in the morning, but we knew because we worked hard during that time that we did not want to wake up on Sunday morning feeling like sore and can't walk. So when we came home from the work day, we took a second dosage of it. We were great on Sunday morning. We had no problems. We didn't have to take any ibuprofen. We didn't have to take anything. We were like, yeah, this stuff works. So if you haven't already started the amino acids, we are full on believers in them because we just feel so much better. So, and I've told you about my dizziness, and that is to me a great feeling.
It's not your dizziness anymore.
No,
No,
I'm not, you can't call me a dizzy
no,
blonde.
no.
That's all.
Never did. Never did.
Never did. Okay. So tonight we've got a great element we're talking about. And before we came on, Clark and I were talking about how we're going to be preaching to ourselves tonight because it was like we needed to hear this just as much as I think all of you will. And I think it will give you some encouragement and to realize that you have the ability really to do whatever you want with your health. The outside influences do not have to affect you. So, and I just want to say, Sue, you're kind of demonstrating that with getting up every morning and doing your walk. So you've taken control of that. And that's the way to do it, right? So it's element four. So for those of you that have your books, element four is, and if you don't, that's okay too. But I do recommend that you might want to get one. They're on Amazon for $18 and they're well worth it. But it's called Building a Healthy Mindset because let's face it, you can have all the tools in the world, but if your mind isn't set to use them,
Yeah.
well, it's not going to happen.
Everything rises and falls on our mindset. Um, we will not do anything we do not think about, and we will do everything we do think about. What we think about gets done. What we don't think about doesn't get done. And so, if we shift our mindset, if we change our mindset, we're going to change our habits. So it's really a critical thing to go deeper than the scale, deeper than other things, and get to the heart of the whole issue, and that's how we think and the mindset we have concerning our health and our life. So we're going to read a little bit on page 104, right?
Yeah. So actually 102,
102,
and we're
sorry.
just going to, only because the way he says this, I think is impactful. But Dr. Anderson wrote this and he says, hopefully you know by now that real change isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Okay, so what's he saying? He's saying that if you do the change your habits, it's not possible that you're going to go to optimal health. It's inevitable you will go. Okay, it's not a question. So he says that is if you're willing to become a student of the creative process and put the time in to make the necessary changes to install the habits of health. So, what are those changes he's talking about?
The way you're eating,
The what?
the way you're eating,
The way you're eating. So, your
Yeah.
nutrition.
the amount of sleep you're getting.
Yes. Yes, there's four more other ones, four other big ones. Sleep, your nutrition,
That's two.
Exercise.
two, exercise, that's three,
Hydration.
four,
Your surroundings.
surroundings, five. One more. We're almost there,
Oh, whoops. This-
right? We're at five.
How many fingers?
Wash the hands. Oh, no, one more.
Anybody remember? You remember?
Did we say mindset?
Mindset. All right.
The way our mindset, how we deal with anxiety or how we deal with stresses, our mindset. Because let's face it, folks, life will happen. Anybody have life happen last week? Yeah, life will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it does. And so mindset is very important. And so in page 103 of the book, Dr. A says that his ultimate goal is that you and I become the dominant force in your life. And if you're a person of faith, which several of us are, we might have this idea, oh, you're pushing God out of the way. We're not. What happens though is that unless I cooperate with what God wants, it isn't going to get done. So, in other words, we don't have to leave it to chance or to hope or to our past decisions, but we can be dominant force in our own health and our own life. And we do not have to allow circumstances or emotion or be a victim of things. So what does that mean for what does he mean by that to be a dominant force? How can you be a dominant force, or how have you been a dominant force? What's one area that you've been engaged in with your health? That'd be maybe a different way to put it. Engaged with your health. And we're just open it up for any comment.
Uh-oh, you're muted, Sue.
That's because I was calling my dog. Sorry. Are you talking about just exercising, like making that commitment to exercise, or?
Yeah, you created a structural tension, really, was what you did, is you're here at A and you want to be at B, and so in between that you started exercises every day. How many minutes do you walk every day, Sue?
45.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That's good exercise. What else?
I
What
didn't start
else?
there, but that's where I'm at right now.
What's good? What does it mean to be a dominant force in your life? Then we can say another, sometimes life happens and circumstances become a dominant force, or we feel that we're under the circumstances or the situation, and versus that we have choices in the middle of that life situation. So any other comment at this point?
Yeah, I mean, here's something. You're out and about and you're hungry. And so you didn't bring a fueling with you, so what do you do? You know, so it's really not the situation, okay? What is it? It's what you decide you're going to do, how you're going to respond. Or here's another one. Someone cuts you off in traffic.
Never.
How do you respond? Or someone says something and maybe it's hurtful. You know, how do you respond to that? So the whole point of it is that you, when you let what's happening around you control what you do, is never going to take you to optimal health. You've got to understand that life is going to happen. Things you're going to maybe feel bad one day, sad one day, hurt one day, or maybe something happens to a friend, it's upsetting. So does that change how you're taking care of your health? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So Dr. A talks about having an internal stability and an external equilibrium. In other words, that inside that we have a stability there, and then that affects our external situations. And so an external equilibrium. And one of those, I think, external equilibriums that I've tried to implement in my life is that I'm going to eat every 3 hours. That's an external equilibrium. I have control of that 99.9% of the time. That's an external equilibrium and an internal stability. So if we possess the habit that, if we do that, we will possess a habit. If we can gain internal stability and external equilibrium, we will possess a habit that most people don't engage in. They just they look and say they wish they could do something different, or this situation could be different, but we are being taught and we are experiencing that we do have control over those things. So answer this question. This is the big question of the night. Who is responsible for your health and your well-being?
You are.
You are. You, you win the lottery, Susan. You are responsible for your health and well-being. And so how we react to those situations every day are important. So it could be, we talked about this today, about how we used to respond or react to things in our life. Do you want to talk about that a little bit in the past?
Well, he goes back to thousands of years ago too, you know, that we were always in this either when we were faced with an issue in our life, whether it was a tiger chasing us or, you know, I mean, when you were really
Threatened.
threatened, right? You would either fight, you would flee, you would freeze, or you would faint. And that was our responses to these major things. And think about this, when there wasn't enough food, okay, when there was a scarcity of supply of food, um, you were hungry, right? And if they killed a, some kind of animal, whatever,
A
a
deer.
deer,
We're from
right?
Wisconsin, a
There
deer.
you go, a deer, not with the car. Um, they would cook and they would gouge them. I mean, not gorge, excuse me, gorge themselves on the food because they didn't know. Their response was they didn't know if they were going to have another meal. That isn't so for us, right?
That doesn't serve us well
That
anymore.
doesn't serve us well. We know that that's not the way we are. So he said, it's not really our fault. We're kind of like programmed a little bit with this, right? And so just from history, but now we have to realize we don't have to respond like that.
Right, right. And so I'm sure many of you have heard this phrase, but we're going to use it again tonight, where we used to live to eat, but now we eat to live. Have anybody ever been in the mindset, I'm going to live to eat? Uh, Anybody this week? I don't- um, but we used to live to eat, and now we uh, eat to live. And so, what do we do when life happens? Well, Nancy already talked about fighting and fleeing and freezing and fainting, but let's explore how our mind works in those things. So we need to focus on a, a shift in our mind. We need to focus on that. Can anybody share how maybe their mind has shifted since you started the program?
Kind of a constant thinking uh, when confronted with food and the time schedule, and that it's constantly on your mind.
So you're more aware, Dale? of-
Yes,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, not the mindless, just reacting. You're
Yeah.
thinking about it.
that's right.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
huge. That's a huge accomplishment. Mhm,
Who else?
I want to chime in.
mhm.
So I just feel like my whole world has changed so much because I don't need sweets anymore. I don't crave sweets anymore. I don't, and if I try to eat them, I feel terrible. So like my whole life has really just been turned around by Optavia. So it's quite amazing to me.
Well, you gave your body good nutrition, Marie, right? And
Yeah.
so now what happens is when we start to feed it sugars or a lot of carbs, we can feel that.
Yeah.
We can feel that. That's awesome. So that those habits have now become your
Yeah.
norm. Yeah.
They are norm for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That is great.
Anyone else want to mind shift they've had? Those are great examples. Anyone else? Well, we want to talk next about this idea of living above the line or below the line. And we want to talk about that because that's a very, very important principle to apply to your life. A very, very important habit that when life happens, when overwhelming things take place, when feelings come up, when um, opportunities come up or lack of opportunities come up, we have a choice to make about living above the line versus living below the line. What does living above the line like, Nancy?
Okay, so when you live above the line, and I want you to know that we do not do it all the time, but we try to practice this. And I would say we do it more often than not. And our goal is to continue to have that become the dominant response. So living above the line is staying, something happens. Okay. Say someone says something to you and you're like, what does that mean? Right? That, of course, that never happens, especially at church, right? All right. So someone says something and you have a choice. You can immediately go get closed. You can get defensive. You can get,
You want to be right.
you want to be right, or you can stay above the line, meaning you're staying open. And before coming to any kind of conclusion, you're going, I wonder what they meant by that. So instead of taking it personally, you are staying open and curious, and you have a growth mindset of, I want to learn where this person's coming from. I want to understand this person.
So that if we live above the line, we have this mentality or this sense, and that is life is happening for me.
Not to you.
That life is happening for me. If I live below the line where I'm closed and defensive and I want to be right, then my mentality and my mindset is that life is happening to me. life is against me, it's happening, it's hitting me, versus if above the line, it's for me, that I'm going to learn from this. I posted this several times, but um, I never lose. I either win or I learn. I don't lose, I win or learn. I'm still working on that. But anyway, that's one of my goals. So that is an understanding of when I'm living above the line, life is happening for me.
So can you see why living with an above the line, an open, growth-minded um, viewpoint can feel so much more empowering?
Sure.
It's like you're not giving in to what is happening and letting it control your feelings. And I have to admit, more times than not, when a situation happens, it isn't what you really think it was.
Mm.
You know, because we see things through colored glasses. We see things through our own, maybe our own insecurities, our own experiences. Maybe someone hurt us before and we jump to that conclusion that that's what this person's doing. Instead of being open-minded, maybe they never meant it at all. So, why is this important when it comes to your health?
Well, it takes us back to the question we asked earlier: who is responsible for your health and your well-being? And that puts us in the place of the driver's seat. It puts us in place of being in control of our decisions. And more often than not, Nancy and I find ourselves asking each other question: are we being open and curious about this? Are we being open and curious? So it's real important that living above the line is part of reaching your optimal health. If I don't get to that place where life is happening for me versus life is happening to me, my optimal health will become stagnant. We'll get
Mhm.
stuck. I'll get stuck. I won't be able to go to the next level. I'll stay in the 5-1 forever,
Mhm.
or I won't go to the next level, which that's what this program's designed
Yeah,
for.
and I think it also plays into the fact that your surroundings, meaning people that you're with, as well as even surroundings in your home in terms of what's in the cabinet, right? All impact you. So if you live above the line, what's going to happen is the surroundings by people, if things happen and you do go below the line, what that does is it causes added stress, which actually affects your health also. And I'm not saying that we don't feel things,
Right.
okay? That I'm not saying that. So it's not like we're robots and something happens and we go, we'll just stay above the line.
That didn't
And
really happen.
that didn't really happen. We don't do that. But what we do is we stop, okay? We use the stop, challenge, choose. So we stop, we say to ourselves, wait a minute, am I going below the line with this? You know what? I'm going to choose to go above the line with this and stay open and curious. And that's where I choose. Now, do we sometimes not do that? Sure. But like I said, we try to make that our habit now.
We hope to get there each time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still working
Yeah,
on it.
we hope to get to, and the thing is that in all this is that you and I need to decide that I or you are absolutely taking responsibility for your behavior and for the results that you want in your health. That I'm responsible, and and that is very freeing to do. It feels like it's too. Sometimes I've felt like wow, that's just a big responsibility, and I'm not sure if I want to carry that. But what it really does is it creates freedom for me, and I hope for you to say that I don't have to be stuck where I am.
Yeah. And when we talk to people about the program, very first thing we do is we do a health assessment with a person that's interested in improving their health, right? So we do this health assessment, and very often when you ask them, how motivated are you? And they may say like an 8 or a 9 instead of a 10. And if you start to dig into that, they'll say, well, you know why? I've tried before and I have never been able to do it. So they have this mindset that they can't, right?
Mhm.
And that's and I'm saying I felt that way when I started. I mean, I wanted it to work, but I wasn't sure. You're always a little like, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but it will work, especially or because you start to implement this different mindset. And in the beginning, your coach believes it for you because they know it works, right? They know that if you start taking responsibility for the choices in your life on how you're going to live a healthy life, the results are going to be just what you want.
Mm.
But it really is all up to you. But when you start the program, there's a disconnect. You don't always get that. You think, oh no, it's from whatever, I mean, I just couldn't understand why I couldn't get a handle on my weight. I just couldn't understand that. But now I realize that I had everything I needed to control that. I just had to learn those things. And that's why learning these elements is so important, because you've got to understand that the power is in you to make these changes. There's nothing in this program that's so difficult that you can't do it.
Right.
Nothing. You just have to decide that's what you're going to do.
Small changes over a long period of time. Small manageable changes.
Yeah.
So let's look at page 109.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at
We're
it.
going to look at this thing real quick. This thing called the drama triangle. Have anybody ever been caught in a drama before? At work? How about in your family? Did drama show up ever?
Okay. So,
Yeah, here it is. Here's
right. See this little triangle thing here? Isn't that cute? All right. So what is it? You probably can't see. So it's like where do you fall on the drama triangle? So at the very top, you're the victim. I don't know how many of you guys have ever been there. Ever been the victim?
one time.
Yes, of course. Or you are the villain,
What's a villain?
the bad guy. Or you're the hero. Okay. All three of them.
Yes.
Not so good.
All three of them are drama.
They're all drama.
Yep.
You think, okay, if I'm the hero, that must be a good thing. Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
There is kryptonite. So
Yeah. So what is it that you want to be if you aren't one of those?
I think you want to live above the line.
So here's the thing. When you're in a situation, and I think it's like what Dale was saying, when you start to become aware of these things, then what happens is when situations start happening in your life, you recognize, you're like, oh my gosh, here we are in the drama triangle. This person is supposed to be the hero in this situation. This other person's the villain in this situation. The other person's the victim. Do you see what I mean? Right? But what if how we approach that situation, we said, let's just be open and curious and find out what's going on with everybody.
So we won't deal with that tonight, but next week we're going to get into not the drama triangle, but the empowerment triangle. To be empowered, to live above the line, and to be in control of the decisions that are before you concerning your health. It's the empowerment. It's that And they just a couple things just to wet your whistle a little bit. Creator, coach, and challenger versus a victim, a hero, or a villain. Doesn't that sound a lot more fun? Creator, coach, and encourager, right?
Mhm.
That sounds way more fun.
So one of the big things with Dr. Anderson is not only, you know, for some of you that have been in this for a little while, you know the tagline, right? It's like Optavia is about healthy mind, healthy body, and healthy finances, right? So the whole thing is it's healthy mind as well as healthy body, guys. Healthy mind. And so when you, because it's all tied together.
Yes.
And you've talked about that before.
Yes.
This emotional, the spiritual, and the physical.
Yes.
It's all tied together.
Yeah.
So if one part isn't healthy, it affects the other parts,
Mhm.
right? I mean, how many times when you are struggling emotionally with something, it affects your health,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Yep, you know that, Paula, being a nurse.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And I have to watch that even after 5 years of what I would call some successes. I still have to watch. I still have to take and choose a new habit. I still have to engage in that. So I don't go back to old habits. So
Yeah, those old habits can creep right back in, right, Dale?
That's right.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of be vigilant about it.
They're standing right there to jump in.
Yeah, right, right.
So our encouragement as coaches, and this is what encouragement is coaches when we're coaching coaches and when we're coaching clients, is that you become a hero of your own health, meaning that you're the one who understands you, who understands where your challenges are and how you can live above the line. And we are here to help all of us, get to that spot in every situation. And the more I do it, the easier it gets.
Mhm.
So that's what tonight is about. And that's part one. We're going to do part two next week.
So even if you took just one thing tonight, guys, just one thing away and start to implement that, that's how it happens. It's just that one thing, just to become aware, to be recognizing when you start to fall below the line, to recognize when you're in a drama triangle. Those are huge. They'll get you to where you want to go. And we're preaching to ourselves too.
Yes,
So,
we are. From a lot of experience there.
right, right, right.
Well, we love you guys. How many benefited from tonight? Anybody benefit? Okay. And I think there's we keep going over every time we go over this book, we learn something new. Every time we read it again, there's another layer that it seems to hit us personally with, and for us to grow just a little deeper, to become a little more emotionally sound, to make better decisions.
Mhm.
So we just think that you guys are the greatest, and congratulations for showing up tonight. Um, and did anybody have any input or thoughts as we say goodnight, John Boy?
When I first came on, you guys were talking about the amino acids.
Mhm.
And I did I started mine today. And I noticed a huge difference in just being at work versus coming home feeling more exhausted. Normally, today I didn't. I actually ran errands and did stuff, and I'm ready for bed now. But I want to tell you, it was night and day difference just the first day.
I know. I mean,
Mhm.
that is so great, Sherry. That is so great. Those are really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we just want to encourage you tonight because we know life happens.
Yeah.
And some of us are facing some really big things. And we want you to know we pray for you guys and that we're there for you. We're in your corner. And we're there if you need anything, even if it has nothing to do with health. Say, hey, Nancy, Clark, I'm going through this thing. Just give us a call, give us a text, whatever, and we'll do what we can do, because we're in it to win it, and I think you are too. And so that you'll not only gain a healthy weight, but you'll gain a healthy mindset, and that you will continue to walk towards optimal health in your life, because that is a game changer. So,
Amen to that.
amen.
brother. All right, we'll be talking to you guys on Thursday.
Love
Can I-
you.
Great
Awesome.
week.
Thank
Have
you.
a great week. Yeah.
Can I stay on a
Yeah.
sec?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna just stop the recording though, okay? Go recording. Where is it?